Hi guys. So you guys already know what this video will be about and based on the title. And as you can see, we are in a different setting. We're in my bedroom and I'm on my bed because I wanted it to be a little bit more intimate because of the topic that I'll be talking about. And if you guys don't know me, I am a very, 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 very extremely private person. Like, too private. Um, but for some reason, I just felt like I needed to do this, especially since I have been doing YouTube inconsistently and I want to continue doing it, but I also feel like I need to do this before moving forward, to basically kind of explain my absence in a way, in a sense, and to also basically just tell my story per se. So I'm not going to do a long intro. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into the video because it's gonna be I laugh to keep from crying. Let's just get that out there. So I'm gonna be doing that throughout the video just to, yeah. So anyways, like I was saying, I'm not gonna do a long intro. I'm just gonna jump right into it because it's gonna be a super long video. So grab a snack, grab a cup of tea, or put the kids to bed or whatever you need to do because this one is gonna be a long one, sis. Okay, we need to chat. All right, so here goes. So starting off, last year around early March, I was on my way to work and I was just like, I don't feel good at all. I'm like so tired and I feel like I'm about to throw up. But never in my wildest dreams did I ever thought that, I might have, like, I'm like shaking. I I could have been pregnant. I don't know why, but I'm just like me, like I just don't see myself, like God's not gonna do that to me right now. Like I'm not ready for that right now. So he's not gonna make that happen to me right now. Like that was just like my mindset. I don't know why, but it just was. Yeah, so like I said, I was on my way to work and I just felt super tired and I just felt so sick. So I called my boss and I was just like, I don't think I'll be able to make it in today. Like, I just do not feel good. So that was around like 11 o'clock. That was around 11 o'clock. I didn't go to work. I came home. As soon as I came home, I went straight to bed. Mind you, this was around 11 and 12 o'clock that I came home. I slept all day and I didn't wake up until 8 o'clock. I was like, no, something's wrong because I'm never usually this tired. So I don't understand like what's going on. I had never been pregnant before. At this point, I didn't even know I was pregnant, but I had never been pregnant before. So these were all new to me. And this was like going on for a few days, like weeks, and I didn't even realize. So I started to tell my fiance at the time because I was actually planning my wedding. So I got married. This, please keep track, okay? I'm doing my best to explain like in order. So I got married September of 2017. So at the time I was in the process of planning my wedding. So this had been going on for, my symptoms had been going on for a few weeks without me even noticing. So my husband would just joke around, like, just take a pregnancy test. And I would just tell my sister, like, I don't feel good, or my mom, and, just telling her, like, I don't understand why I'm so tired. And they would just all say, like, just take a test and get it out the way. And I was telling myself, like, take a test for what? Like, I already know that I'm not pregnant, so I don't need to take a test, and end of story. So this went on for a few more days, leading into weeks, and my husband was just like, just take the test, get it over with. If you're not pregnant, you know you're not pregnant, and you're just tired or something else is going on with you. I might as well just take the test and get it over with. So I told my husband, I was like, if you want me to take a test, I'm not going to go buy it. So you need to go buy it and I'll take it. So he bought it and then he left for work. So the entire day I was home and I was just like, I need to take it, but I'm just so nervous. And even though I really didn't think that I was pregnant at the time, in my head, like at the time, I was just like, I'm not pregnant. Like there's no way I'm pregnant. So whatever. So I left it the whole day. until it was close to the time that he was gonna come home. So I went into the bathroom. I did the usual, you know, peed on the stick, whatever, and I left it in the bathroom. I didn't even check it. I just left it in the bathroom, and I came back inside of the room to lay down, and I waited for him until he got home. So he came home, and as soon as he walked in the door, he's like, he's like, "Did you take the test?" And he's like, "Did you take the test?" And I said, "Yeah, I took it. It's in the bathroom. You can go look at it, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna say negative anyways. But go ahead, feel free to go take a look at it." So he went into the bathroom, and I was listening to hear something. He didn't say anything at all. Like, it was like complete silence. And then he came into the room. I remember I was laying on the bed. I was laying on my back, and he came into the room. He lifted my shirt, and he started, like, he kissed my stomach. So I was like, "You being mad?" I was like, "You being mad extra. Like, I'm not pregnant, so what's all this for?" So he's like, "You didn't look at the stick?" And I was like, "No, I left it there for you to see it." So he's like, "You're pregnant." And I'm like, "Stop playing with me," basically. I was just like, "Stop." And I kept doing this. Like I said before, I laughed to keep from crying. Like, this is just my way of, like, dealing with things. So I was like, "Why are you playing around? Like, what did it say?" And then he's like, "I'm serious." He looked at me with a dead serious face. He's like, "I'm serious. You're pregnant." And I was like, I was, at that moment, I was so confused. And I still didn't even believe him. I was like, "Let me see the stick." So he went to get it. I looked at it. Of course, it said positive. I took another one just to be sure. It said positive too. And even then, like, I still didn't think that, I still couldn't believe in my head that I was pregnant. So immediately he was like all excited, like, we called his mom, told his mom, called my mom, told her, and yeah, and I was like, "Well, I need to go to the doctor because I need to know for sure, like, if I'm really pregnant." So I think it was the next day, his mom and his sister took me to the doctor to get it confirmed, to make sure that I was, to see if I was really pregnant. And we went to the doctor. They I don't remember if they didn't do a blood test. They just, I just peed in a cup, I remember, and to confirm if I was pregnant. And the nurse was like, "Yep, you're pregnant. Is this your first pregnancy?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." And I asked her, I was like, "How far along am I?" And she said, "You should be about 6 weeks along." So, and she said 6 weeks, I almost fell out because the entire time in my head, I kept thinking, 6 weeks? Like, I went 6 weeks without even noticing. Like, I'm the type of person, I never miss a period. My period comes every single month, the exact same time, like clockwork. Like, never missed a period. I think I only missed a period once ever in my life, and I had it twice the next month. Like, but other than that, never missed a period, nothing. So when she told me that, like, in my head, I'm like, I really went 6 weeks without even noticing I didn't get my period and not thinking anything of it. And I was just like, wow, that's all oh my God, I was so shocked. I didn't know what to think. On the ride home, I just kept thinking in my head, like, that's all I kept thinking the entire time. Like, I'm really pregnant. I'm really pregnant. And I remember at one point, I just busted out crying, like, in the back seat, on my way home. Like I said, his mom and his sister took me. So I was sitting in the back seat, and I don't remember what I was thinking about, but I just started bawling. And his mom, like, glanced in the back, and she saw me crying. She didn't say anything, and I didn't say anything either. You know, they just dropped me off, and I said, you know, "See you later." And then I came inside. When he came home that night, he was so excited. Oh my God, he was so freaking excited. I was the complete opposite, I must admit. So I was laying in bed again, and he noticed that there was something wrong with me. So he asked me, he said, "If you see me looking down at my phone, I wrote some stuff down that I don't want to forget. So I'm just making sure that I'm hitting all the points." So he asked me what was wrong, and I just told him, like, I'm not ready to have a baby. Like, I'm really not. Like, I know that I'm a grown woman, obviously. Like, you know, we're about to get married, but at this stage in my life right now, like, I'm just not ready for a baby. And I just started bawling. Like, I was crying hysterically. And that's when he said, like, I'll never forget, he said, he was laying on the bed next to me, and he said, come, come here. And I'm so, I am so stubborn. I am so stubborn. And I was just sitting there, like, just crying to myself, like, while he's next to me, and he's like, come here. And then I must have did something like that. And I was like, what? And he grabbed my arm and he pulled me on top of him. So I was sitting on top of him like this, um and then that just made me, like, started bawling even worse. So I didn't want him to see, like, how terrible I was crying. So I just, like, I was already sitting on him, so I just, like, he pulled me down to, like, lay on him. So I was fully, like, laying on top of him. My face was, like, covered into his neck. So I was just crying, and he was just like, babe, like, why are you crying? Like, this is a good thing. Like, you know, I got you. Like, I'll forever have your back, and it's gonna be okay. You know, don't worry. He definitely made me feel better about, you know, everything. Just, and I already knew that. He didn't even have to tell me that he'll always be there for me, that everything will be okay. Like, this is God's plan. Like, he didn't have to tell me that. Like, I already knew. But I just, something in me just was not happy about it. But eventually I got over it. I was just like, I'm pregnant. Like, it is what it is. Like, you know, this is God's work. You know, nothing happens out of nowhere. He knows everything that's going to happen before it even happens. Like, his plan is completely different from our plan. But anyways, like I said before, like, eventually it grew on me. You know, like, I was happy about being pregnant. Like I said before, I was in the process of planning my wedding. My wedding day was 5 months away, and one thing I said, I was just like, I did not want to be pregnant on my wedding day. I know that sounds so selfish, but I was just like, I did not want to be pregnant on my wedding day. Now I'm gonna have this big ass stomach in front of me. Like, I'm gonna have to find a dress now to fit my stomach, you know, the style of dress and all that stuff. But eventually that grew on me also. I became happy about it, I must say. Just seeing how happy he was and knowing that the child that I was carrying belonged to him just made me want it even more. Just seeing how happy he was and how he was reacting to the entire thing. So, you know, weeks go by, everything is going good. You know, I'm going to my regular appointments as I should. And I know previously, before, you know, me getting pregnant, I used to hear people say, like, the first 3 months of your pregnancy is the most crucial, you know, so once you get past that 12-week mark, then you're all good to go. Like, you're fine, nothing else is going to happen to you. This is what I thought. So weeks are going by, they're going by, they're going by, and until August 6th, I remember specifically. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was August 6th. I went to my sister's house. My sister, she lives about an hour away from me, so I frequently would go to her house. You know, me and my sister are very close, so I went to my sister's house on the Saturday. I think it was a Saturday. And I was going there because I was gonna pick up my mom so she could come and stay the weekend with me. So I went there on the Saturday, and, you know, I was messing around, and I remember specifically, I'm gonna also insert a photo here. So this photo that I took here was the photo that I took right before everything went to hell. So I took this photo, and then immediately after taking this photo, I noticed that, you know, I had to pee. Nothing out of the ordinary. You know that when you're pregnant, you pee very regularly. There's a lot that goes on with your body. So just like, I have to pee, and we were about to head back to my house. So I went to the bathroom and I peed. You know, everything's fine. I didn't see any blood or anything. So after I peed, you know, I cleaned myself up, and I was getting back. I got up off the toilet and I was getting ready to dress myself again. And I noticed that I just felt like flow of water. Let's just put it like that. I just felt flow of water coming, and I was just like, wait, I'm still peeing, but I can't control it. Like, how is that even possible? And like, a thought flashed in my head, like, oh my god, my water just broke. But it just quickly erased out of my head, because I'm thinking to myself, like, my water can't break. Like, it's far too early. Like, I'm only like, if I remember correctly, I was only like 13 or 14 weeks. Because I remember my next appointment was gonna be I was gonna find out the gender of the baby at my next appointment. So I was somewhere around 14 weeks, just put it like that. So I got dressed and I got out the bathroom, and I immediately told my mom, I was like, Mom, I just used the bathroom and it was really weird. Like, I just felt a flow. I just felt a flow of water come down. I don't know what it was, if I was peeing. And then my mom's like, you probably just peed on yourself. Like, that's it. So I was like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, I'm sure. Like, you probably just peed on yourself. Like, that's it. So I was like, okay, like, all right, whatever. So I just left it alone. But throughout the day, it just kept coming. Like, it just would not stop throughout the day. So the next day, which was a Sunday, I took my mom back to my sister's house, and I took my mom back to my sister's house, and again, like, when I dropped her off, I had to use the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom and, you know, was about to pee, and I saw something that did not look normal at all. I'm not even going to say what it is because it's just a lot. TMI. So I was just like, I paused and I was just like, I just yelled out. I was just like, Mom, like, come look at this. So she rushed to the bathroom and she just looked, and she was just like, that does not look normal. That's girl, we need to go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. The first hospital I went to, they were taking, oh my God, they were taking so long. Like, nobody would see me. So I called my husband and I told him everything that happened, and he was getting frustrated. He's like, go to another hospital. So I eventually went to another hospital, eventually saw somebody, and so we were there. My husband eventually came to the hospital. He was getting antsy, like, he wanted to know like what's going on. And then you know, several nurses would come in and they would check me and check what was going on down there in the situation. And they didn't say anything. They didn't say anything at all. And they were just like, okay, like, I'll be right back, basically. So finally, a doctor came in, and she was asking me if it was my first pregnancy, and I was telling her yes, and then, you know, just beating around the bush. And then eventually she said those words, you're having a miscarriage. And she was just like, you're having a miscarriage. It happens all the time. You can always get pregnant again. And just that the good thing is, you know that you can get pregnant and you can always try again. So she left the room, and everybody else, they kind of sort of, you know, left the room, and it was just my husband and I in there. And when everyone left, you know, like, we just broke down together, like. And to think that, like, at first, you know, like, I lost my child, like, okay, all right. But then for them to basically tell me that, you know, they couldn't. So I'm pregnant, right? And I'm already 3 months, so you already know that I'm showing, and there's a baby in me, obviously. And at this point, my baby is no longer alive, and you can't do anything about it at the moment. And being told that I will just have to basically let the baby pass on its own, like, just basically just to give, my body should naturally give birth on its own. So I was there at the hospital. They couldn't, you know, like, remove the baby. I had to basically pass it out, like I said before. So that was on Sunday. Oh, so that was a Sunday. I went back home. Knowing that I was pregnant, but I wasn't pregnant. Oh my god, I said I wasn't gonna cry. I went back home because they couldn't remove the fetus from me. I had to pass it out. And, you know, she, because I believe it was a girl, she stayed in me for 3 days until the Wednesday I woke up with excruciating pain at 6 in the morning. I was at my mom's house because I didn't want to be alone. I live with my husband, and I know that, you know, he'll be there for me through anything, but there are just certain times, certain situations in your life where you just need your mother, okay? And at that time, I just needed my mom. I needed to be around her in order for me to feel better. So I was with my mom, and she was laying next to me, and we were sleeping, and like I said before, I was awakened by excruciating pain, like in my lower stomach, like just contractions is what it felt like. I think that's what it was. At the time, you know, I was thinking that's what it was. It was just like getting worse and worse and worse. I don't even want to say what happened next, but my body naturally gave birth, per se, and that was that. I don't think anyone could ever understand what someone is going through who's had a miscarriage unless you've miscarried yourself. Like, I don't think I've ever felt um, more disappointed in myself, like more hurt, like, and knowing how happy my husband was and how much he wanted it, it just made me feel even worse. Like, I couldn't even bring this to term, per se. And then I think all the time, like, I grew to love that baby. Like, she was mine. Like, I was looking forward to her, and then just not knowing, like, what happened, like, what could have caused it, and then at the same time, like I said before, like, I was planning a wedding that I was supposed to be super happy about. Like, this was supposed to be the best time of my life, and just a month before my wedding, I lose my child. So yeah, this happened in August, and like I said before, I was getting married on September 17th. And oh my god, this video is already 30 minutes long. Yeah, so I had to do surgery to remove everything a month before my wedding, and I just basically had to readjust my life. You know, I still had a wedding that what needed to happen regardless of what was going on, and that was one of the hardest parts, just knowing that I couldn't even, like, take time out to really grieve. I just had to pretend like nothing happened and, you know, just be happy about my wedding because it was a month away, and, you know, like, that's something that I couldn't change. But eventually, you know, as time passed, you know, it got better, and I felt better about it. And fast forward to the next year, this year, 2018, in fact, you know, we were talking, and we decided for it to happen organically, and if it did, then great. So in February, I was pregnant again. I was very happy. I'll insert a video here of me telling my husband that I'm pregnant. Hey guys, so I'm in the car and I came to pick up my husband because he went away to drill this weekend. So I'm just here waiting on him to come out, and I have a surprise for him. I'm looking because I'm trying to see if he's coming. I have a surprise for him. So I'm pregnant. Yeah, I'm pregnant. I don't know why I just said it so weird just now. But I'm pregnant, and he kind of already, I think he kind of already knows that, or is suspecting that I'm pregnant already, because he keeps like making references, you know, to like me being pregnant or whatever. But he doesn't know for sure because we didn't take the test. Like he thought, I told him that I was gonna wait until the end of the month because I wanted to see if I'm gonna, you know, get my period, which I already figured I was pregnant. Like I'm so late on my period, so. But he didn't know that I was gonna take it this weekend. So, because like I said before, I told him, I'm like all over the place. Because I told him I was gonna wait until the end of the month and then we're gonna take it together. So, I took it last night with my mother. I went to the store and, yeah, so I'm pregnant. So what I'm thinking about doing right now is, because I spoke to him last night and I just wanted to tell him so bad, and I was gonna wait until we get home and, you know, I surprise him some way or another, but I just can't hold it in anymore. So I brought it with me, the test. It is in my bag here. Okay, so I brought the test here with me, and you can see clearly says pregnant. So I brought this test here with me, and I'm just gonna like put it on the seat here because I sat in the passenger seat because I'm gonna make him drive. So I'm just gonna randomly put it on the seat. I tried to like get him to look at, to like see it earlier when I told him to go into my purse, but I guess he wasn't paying attention and he totally like looked past it. So I'm gonna put my stuff on the seat here, and then he's gonna be like, why you got your stuff on the seat? And then I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna pick up my purse, and it's gonna be on the seat right there still. So yeah, like I said before, I just want to get his reaction on camera. But like I said before, he already suspects that I'm pregnant, so his reaction might not be like over the top because he already thinks that I am. But I don't know what he's gonna, I don't know how he's gonna react, and I want to see it on camera. So I'm just sitting in the car waiting for him to come out, and yeah, I want to catch his reaction. My god. Oh my god, you guys, he's coming. So he's sitting on something.
What am I saying? What? Booyah! Let's go. Let's go.
You gonna kiss my pee stick?
No, I kissed the part that says you're pregnant. Don't play with me. You really pregnant for real?
That's what it says.
Yes.
Are you happy now?
Yes, I am happy. Fingers crossed. Please take it easy.
Please don't stress me out.
You don't stress yourself out, please.
Okay.
If you feel like you're about to stress out, just woosah. Take it easy. Take your time. Alright? Please? Alright, somebody want to talk to you.
Okay. I wanted to get your reaction.
Oh my god. We're having a baby. Again.
Yep.
I'm so happy. Woo!
Okay. Alright guys, so I just wanted his reaction, so yeah. This time around, I knew to be extremely cautious, but still, like, I wasn't aware that, you know, because they told me before that, you know, miscarriages happen all the time, and women have had kids before having a miscarriage, and they've had it after having a miscarriage. So even then, like, I was still very much on edge. Like, I was so nervous that it was gonna happen again, and Like the whole time I just kept thinking like I just have to be careful and, you know, just try my best to last as long as I could, so that, you know, this next baby could survive. So this time around, because of what happened last time, I, you know, was seen with the same doctors as before. So they pretty much knew my history and they knew what was going on. So because of that, I would have appointments either every week ever since I first went in, the second time around when I found out I was pregnant. I had appointments either every week or every other week. So everything was going along fine because I was having regularly checkups with my doctors. So they were keeping everything on track, you know, making sure everything was going as smooth as it should until my 15-week checkup. So when I was 15 weeks, I went in. The week before I went in and they checked my cervix, and my cervix was perfectly fine. And I remember the doctor telling me that you will need to come in a week from now and we'll check it again just to make sure, like, you know, everything's still good. And if it's not good, then we'll have to do surgery just to make sure that your cervix stays closed. So in my head, I'm like, if it's good right now, then why wouldn't it be good a week from now? But I was like, I'm sure I'll be good, you know, I'll be fine. Like, so I wasn't worried at all. So it was the day of my 15-week checkup. I went in. The nurse did a sonogram and an ultrasound. She did an ultrasound to check my cervix. I think that's how they check a cervix, so whatever. She checked my cervix and she said, and I was like, is everything okay? And she didn't answer me. I hate when they do that. She didn't answer me and she said, well, just wait and, you know, you'll talk to the doctor. And I was like, okay. And so after I saw her, I saw the doctor, and the doctor came in and she's like, you're not leaving. If you leave this hospital right now, and she said it just like that, I'm not even exaggerating. If you leave this hospital right now, you will lose this baby. You will have a miscarriage. And I was like, what's the problem? No. Like, you can only imagine like what would be going through your mind if somebody were to tell you that. Like, my heart just dropped. And I was like, what's going on? And she said, your cervix is, I don't remember the number, but basically, like, I was about to, like, miscarry. Like, basically, my cervix was about to break open, per se. So she's like, you have to do an emergency surgery right now to have a cerclage placed, because, like I said, if you leave this hospital right now, you will have a miscarriage. And obviously that's your choice if you want to go ahead and do that right now, or if you want to, you know, go home and take the chance. So obviously I was not going to go home. That wasn't a smart decision to do. So immediately I was just like, okay, whatever we have to do, let's do it. Like, I don't even care. I'm in a waiting room and, you know, everyone's coming in there. The anesthesiologist people, you know, everyone, the nurses are coming in one by one telling me, you know, what's gonna happen and all this kind of stuff, just making sure I understand everything, and just a whole bunch of questions. You know, a lot of doctors and nurses repeating everything. And then finally the surgeon came in and he was basically explaining, you know, what would happen with a cerclage. So if you don't know, a cerclage is basically like sewing your cervix together, just making sure that it basically stays closed. So he came in and he was explaining everything to me, and I was asking him, I remember, look at that, my skin is so sensitive. Please disregard. I was asking him, I was like, so how do you think, like, with my situation, based on what you know, like, what do you think will happen to me? I know that doctors aren't God, they can't predict the future, but at the same time, you know, if you're going into the hospital, you're gonna have questions and you're gonna want to know, like, what your chances are. So I was asking him, and he was telling me that someone in my case, they won't even make it to 24 weeks, because apparently to him, he's seen it before, like, they don't even make it to 24 weeks. And I was like, even with the cerclage plays, you don't see me, my pregnancy, making it to 24 weeks. And he's like, yeah, even with the cerclage place, I don't think that your pregnancy will last to 24 weeks. And so I was just shocked when he told me that. I was just like, Okay, well, okay. I was literally just lost for words. Like, I didn't even know what to say. I was just like, okay, all I can do is just take it a day at a time and, we'll see what happens. So I did the surgery, and the next day, actually, the day that I went in for the 15-week checkup, the day that I went into before I did the surgery, I actually found out what the gender would be that day. So I didn't look at it. We didn't look at it whatsoever. Um, I had the nurse put it in an envelope so we could do a gender reveal or whatever. So I did the surgery, and everything went good. Everything was fine until the next day. I was really contemplating on even doing a gender reveal because I was just telling myself that, like, what if I even do this gender reveal and I ended up losing the baby just like I did the last one? Then that would just make me feel even worse. Like, that would just like tear me apart. So when I did the surgery, they told me that I basically couldn't go back to work. Um, I had to be home just to relieve pressure off of myself and just not to be on bed rest, but kind of sort of like bed rest. Like, I couldn't really do anything. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't walk. I couldn't even walk for too long. Like, you know how they say that when you're pregnant, you're supposed to be active, walk, even work out if you can. Like, that was not my case. Like, I couldn't do any of that just because that would put me at a risk of losing my child again. So like I said before, I just stopped working, and the next day after I had the surgery, I was really contemplating on even doing the gender reveal, like I said before, because I just didn't want to be disappointed again. But I was just like, you know what? I'm going to trust God, and if this is supposed to be, then it's going to happen. So I need to live in the moment and just do what makes me happy. And I'm going to celebrate this child. Like, even if I don't know what tomorrow's going to be, I'm going to celebrate my child today. So we ended up having a gender reveal. I got exactly what I prayed for, what I've always wanted. I found out that I was having a girl, and I was so excited. Like, we had both sides of our family there. We celebrated. We didn't, even though I was in so much pain from the surgery before, like, oh my God, like, my entire back was killing me, like, because I basically had to get, it's kind of like when you're getting an epidural and they have to inject you in your spine. Like, that's what happened for my surgery. I had to get an injection in my spine, and because of that, like, my back was like, I was in excruciating pain. But regardless of that, we celebrated. I was like over the moon. I was so happy. So ever since the doctor told me that, like, my main goal was to make sure that I make it to another week. When I was 20, I just remember thinking to myself, like, wow, like, I made it to 20 weeks. Like, oh my God. So I was like, 20 weeks had passed, 21 weeks, 22 weeks. And I was just like, thank you, God. Like, thank you for keeping me. Like, if only you guys knew what was going through my head at the time. So, when I was about 23 weeks, before I even found out that I was pregnant, we had a vacation plan previously to go on a Caribbean cruise. And I wasn't going to go on the cruise because I know that my pregnancy was high risk. And the entire time I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to go. But I told my doctors, and I told them that I wasn't going to go because my pregnancy is so high risk and I don't want anything to happen to me. They were like, you should be fine. Like, you're not going to be doing, as long as you don't do anything crazy, basically, you should be okay to go. So I was just like, are you sure? Like, every single checkup that I had before the vacation, I would ask them, like, are you sure that it's okay for me to go? Like, I won't be going if you guys tell me that it's not okay for me to go. So they gave me the okay to go. I went, I had a blast. Like, everything was fine. I made sure that, I didn't do any activities that would, put me or my baby in any kind of harm. So everything was fine. So I left the Sunday when I was 23 weeks, and I came back on my 24-week mark. When I hit 24 weeks, no one was happier than me. Like, I was so happy. I was so ecstatic. And I was just like, thank you, God, like, for bringing me this far. Like, the doctor told me that I wouldn't even make it to 24 weeks, and here I am. So right when I came back, that's when shit got real. Okay? So when I came back, I woke up the Monday morning. I went to use the bathroom, and I was spotting. very unusual. Not supposed to happen, definitely. So I was thinking to myself, like, here we go again. So I told my husband, you know, like, I let him know what was going on. He was at home at the time, and I showed him, and immediately he called his mom, and immediately she came to pick us up, and we were heading to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. You know, they checked me, and just so you know, again, he was just like, just so you know, you're not going home. You're pretty much gonna stay here until you have this baby, and by the looks of it, it looks like she should be coming today. And I was just like, oh, I was just like, again, like, mind you, I was only 24 weeks, and I was thinking to myself, like, he said I wouldn't make it to 24 weeks, and I'm 24 weeks now, and here I am, and this is happening. So, of course, I started crying. I started bawling my eyes out because I'm just like, 24 weeks, like, I'm still too early, like, I'm not ready to have this baby. But at the same time, when I was 15 weeks and I was getting my surgery, I remember the doctor saying, like, if you make it to 24 weeks, we can save the baby, but anything before that, there's nothing that we can do. So, like I said before, like, my goal was to make it to 24 weeks. So when I made it to 24 weeks, I felt a lot better because I was just like, at least, you know, like, they can save my baby, even though it's super early. She'll be super, super premature, but at least I'll have my daughter, you know. So I was admitted to the hospital. So they checked me and they told me that the baby was breached, which means that her head was up and her feet were down. And I would have to, if I were to have her, I would have to do a C-section. And the C-section that I would have to do would pretty much mean that if I were to get pregnant anytime after that, I would always have to have a C-section because of the kind of C-section that they would have to do. He basically told me that they would have to cut me like that and then cut me down this way in order to get the baby out. Again, I was feeling hella stressed. I was just like, I really wanted to have a vaginal birth. I've always wanted to give birth naturally. I don't want to have a C-section. And then to think that if I ever were to get pregnant again, I would always have to have a C-section, like, this is just all bad right now. But thankfully, I didn't give birth that day. It wasn't until, so I was admitted when I went to the hospital, and it wasn't until, and I think I'm going to save my labor and delivery for another video, but on August 10th at 5:26, my daughter was born. At about 26 weeks, my daughter was born. I'm just so thankful at the end of the day because there's so many things that could have gone wrong. Like, from me losing my first pregnancy to having her and carrying her for as long as I could until I gave birth to her, and her being in the NICU, me visiting her every single day. Like, there was not a day that I didn't go see her until she came home. I'm just so thankful. I am over the moon, and I'm so thankful because there's so many odds that were against me, that were against her because she was born so early. But thank God, by the grace of God, you know, she is doing perfectly fine. She is so beautiful, and she is more than anything that I could have ever imagined. So that is the story of my pregnancy journey. I do have a condition, which is an incompetent cervix. A medical term for it, a really long word, the doctor told me, but I can't remember what it is. So the simpler term is I do have an incompetent cervix, which basically means that I can get pregnant. I have no issues with getting pregnant. It's just that my body can't physically hold a baby. My body can't physically hold a baby on its own without any kind of intervention or at all. But like I said in the beginning of the video, like, I'm such a private person, and I contemplated on even sharing my story with you guys, but I know that when I was going through what I was going through last year with my miscarriage, and even this year with my daughter being in the NICU, like being born so early, all I wanted was somebody to relate to. I know that I have my mom, I have my husband, I have my sister who I'm extremely close with, but essentially I didn't have anyone who really understood like what I was going through, like, because I'd never known anyone in my family to have a miscarriage. I'd never known anyone to have a premature baby. So that's essentially why I'm making this video, because I just want to help. If I could just help one person out there who is going through or who went through what I went through, that's really my goal. So I know this video is super duper long, but I'm so happy that, you know, I was able to share this with you guys. And a part of the reason that I wanted to share this with you guys is to, like I said before, just to explain my absence, to let you guys know what was really going on, what has been going on. And I also want to incorporate other things on my channel other than just makeup videos, because there's so many people out there who are doing makeup. Like, everybody nowadays knows how to do makeup. So I feel like no one's really resorting to makeup on YouTube. I'm not gonna completely like dismiss it from my channel. I am still gonna do a tutorial here and there, reviews and all that kind of stuff. But I also want to incorporate mom videos. Like, I want to introduce her on my channel. I would show you guys her right now, but she is knocked out, and I know that when she's sleeping I need to leave her alone. Okay, so maybe in future videos I will introduce her to you guys. And I think that's all I want to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am your girl Olivia Face, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye guys.